Hello, my name is Derek Smith and I'm a co-founder of Navigo, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to get set up with Navigo's data quality services. To do that, I'm going to use a fictitious retail store and show you how they might use the system to validate some of their customer data. So to get started, I'm going to sign up using the sign up form. I'll choose retail as my industry. I'm going to give it a company ID of Center Cycle. It's the name of the company. It suggested a username for me, which I'll keep. Now the system has created my site and I can sign in as that user. Once I do that, I'll be at the Getting Started page where I can complete the steps. First thing I need to do is deploy the sync client so I can connect to the data. So I click Deploy Sync Client. You'll notice it creates a deployment package for me and downloads it to my computer. Run that package and it's going to ask you for a name for the sync client. I'm just going to call this Main Office. It's also going to ask you which user you want to run the sync client as. You can run it as a built-in Windows account, or you can run it as a specific user. We highly recommend that you run it as a specific user because that will allow you to use Windows authentication when you're connecting to your resources. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Click Install. So this is deploying the sync client to my local computer. Deployment successful. We can close this window and we'll see that the sync client starting up in the icon bar here. Once it's connected, it will connect to the system and we can see confirmation of that on the screen. The next thing I need to do is add a connection to my database or add a source. So I'm going to add a source here. I can choose my sync client I just deployed. I'm just going to call this my CRM. Give it an application. And since it's running on my local computer, I can use localhost. And the database name is Center Cycle. I'm going to use Windows authentication. Test my connection, which is successful, and hit save. You can see that's added the connection to my system. So I can return to the main screen and create a rule. Now I'm going to create a simple rule for saying that all customer addresses should be complete. I'm going to give that a classification of completeness. I'm going to give it a custom category of address. Give that a medium severity, and then we'll say a company-wide impact. You can also define a description, some other properties here, as well as tags. Once I create that, it'll take me to the rule screen, which I can see the system's telling me that I don't have any data quality checks. The data quality checks are what we use to actually go run the checks against the database and find the issues. So I'm going to click on the Quality Checks tab and add a new data quality check. I'm going to choose my CRM system that I just deployed. I'm going to give this the name of making sure zip codes are all 5 digits. So now in my query editor, I can add my query to find addresses that aren't compliant. When I hit preview data, I can see that I have 2 records in my system, and I can see that their zip codes are 4 digits, so those are incorrect. And finally, I can come over to the mappings area and tell Navigo a little bit about my data. I can tell it which column actually uniquely identifies it as the key, and give it a label, say full name, to tell us who the record is, and then a description of the zip so we can see which zip is the issue. All the other columns will also be captured when it runs. Also, Navigo needs to know how many records there are possible so it can determine some data about about validation. So I'm going to set up a count query to tell the system how many customers I have. You can see right now I have 10, so I'll map that as my count, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now I've added a rule. This rule is scheduled to run every day at 12 a.m. But I can go ahead and kick it off right now if I want by hitting the run button. You'll see it tells me that it was started successfully. And then I can go back to my queue now, and I will see that run that I just completed in the queue. If I want, I can click that. I can see information about it. see the history, and I can see those exceptions that I just found. So that's it. At this point, you are set up with Navigo and ready to validate your data.